So the time has finally come to change my bass strings. After 5 long years, an album, countless shows, countless hours rehearsing, the fulfillment of the prophecy that bass players never change their strings. Well, we're going into the studio soon to record another album, and I thought it was time to finally let go of these strings that have served me so well over the years. So what I wanted to do today was to take a couple completely raw DIs of some bass parts from Myopic songs, since I'm going into the studio with them at the end of the week. And I wanted to set up a very scientific experiment with these 5-year-old strings. Then I'm going to boil them, put them back on, and then compare them to a set of new strings. And we will finally answer a few questions about how dead have they gotten over 5 years, how much will boiling them bring them back to life, and how do the dead ones and the boiled ones compare to a brand new set of strings. I play custom gauge strings on a 5-string bass with my own tuning, which is CGCFA. So it is tuned up from a normal 5-string bass, but it's in drop C to match the guitars. So, with that out of the way, let's get into the demos. So what did we learn? I don't think this is going to be shocking for anyone, but the new strings are brighter and livelier than the old strings. The boiling was surprisingly effective, I think. They sounded close to as good, I would say, as the new strings, though they still have a certain dead quality to them. So if you don't want to buy new strings, the boiling is pretty effective. It does have a lot more high end. It doesn't have quite as much mid-range, but overall, I'd say it's pretty close. But it's not the complete story. Let's take a look at how it works with different amps. To me, the amp does sort of cover up some of the differences between the strings compared to the raw tracks. But if you listen to how it responds to the gain, the new strings break up much more than the old strings do. And the boiled strings and the new strings, I think, sound pretty comparable. In conclusion, boiling your strings is effective. It's not as effective as buying new strings, and you should probably change your strings. But the boiling does work well. I'd say it doesn't make or break your tone, especially between the boiled and the new strings running through an amp, especially if you play with high gain tones similar to me. Your mileage may vary depending on your genre and your tone, but boiling works well, and the difference between the old strings and the boiled strings is quite a lot. It's at least $35 to $40 for a set of strings, especially for a 5-string bass like I play. So if you want to save some money, boiling them every so often does the trick better than nothing. But also, perhaps, it's time for some new strings.